Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm Lola.
And I'm Nay.
And this is Naylo's Thrift Talk. We are both resellers on Poshmark, eBay, and a few other platforms like Mercari and Depop. And this is our weekly show where we talk about thrifting for a sustainable lifestyle and basically creating the life you want and using thrift shopping as a way to do it.
Yes. And,
anything, Michelle?
Well, we have a lot of information for resellers too.
Yes, so we talk a lot about reselling, but we also have a lot of tips and tricks for anyone who's thrifting.
Thrift for themselves, yeah. And like Lola said, we want to create a better sustainable life on our own terms. So, yes.
And today our topic is
oops. 10 tips on thrifting on shopgoodwill.com. And we'll go into a little bit about what that is after our yes.
I am very discombobulated today. There we go. Got it? Okay, cool.
All right.
So, as usual, what are we wearing?
Yes. So I am wearing, this is a vintage, you can see it's awesome. It is a vintage Benetton sweater from probably the early 90s. Do you have the tag?
I do have the tag.
Yeah, so I'll show you the tag on it. So this is definitely old school vintage Benetton, made in Italy. I would say, what do you think, Lola? Early 90s probably?
It could be 80s.
It could be, yeah, it's an older label for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's wool, it's super cozy and comfy. I love this sweater and I love the colors. And I paid $4.99 for it. So
good deal.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I have a really cozy vintage Benetton sweater and I almost put it on today.
Oh, that's funny.
Not by coincidence, because you sent me that label and I thought it'd be funny.
But yeah.
I'm really set on wearing this, which is one of my recent purchases on shopgoodwill.com. So I thought it was relevant for today.
Very appropriate.
This is a beautiful shadow plaid flannel shirt that is a men's Pendleton shirt.
Ah, I love
it. It's 100% wool. It's just super soft and cozy. And I love that it even has a couple places where the previous owner had, there were some like small mothballs and they had carefully mended it. So it has just like a little bit of a story to it. And loved.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And can you tell us about your headgear?
Oh, and then this. So as you may remember, I had like a pixie haircut for a while and then I decided I wanted to grow it out. So right now it's in that very odd, like in between length. So I've been wearing a lot of scarves. And this one was from the bins. And like I got this bag of beautiful silk hand-rolled edge scarves. And it was, the whole bag might have been 10 cents because they're so lightweight.
Yeah.
I've just been like cycling through them. I was going to list them. I've used a couple as free gifts with my Poshmark orders, but for the most part, they're just on my head. Hi, everyone. Oh, Betsy. Okay, because we talk about you a lot.
Yes.
And so now we know to call you Betsy. So thank you.
Thank you.
So hi, Betsy. Hi, Anne Marie. Hi, everyone in the chat. So great to see you all.
Yes.
And are you ready for our next segment?
I am. I just dropped it.
Thrifted home decor.
Okay. So I have, what's in the box here? So I have, this is an awesome find. So this is I don't break it. The artist is Charlotte DeVita. And so she makes mini teapots. She's famous for her mini. She does some other things too, but mostly the miniature teapots. And this is Gustav Klimt, which is one of my favorite artists. Mm-hmm. If you are an art nerd, or you might recognize this as the Kiss. So she she highlights different artists, different designs, different, like she'll do like a dog lovers one or something like that. There's a giraffe one that I really would love to have. But so this is, I got this for, I don't remember what I paid. I've had it forever. I got it at a flea market actually. So, and it does come with a certificate of authenticity. And so if you're looking for these and you find one in the box like this with the certificate and everything, you can get an average about $40 on eBay for it. So
nice.
And I couldn't find comps on this particular one, so maybe even more, but I'm not going to sell it because this is part of my china closet. And
it's beautiful. It's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yes, so that is my thrifted home decor.
Cool. So I honestly can't remember if I've shown this one before, but I was recently researching how to clean it because I have a few different interesting baskets. I love picking up like different shapes. As I've mentioned many times, I'm a knitter, so I love a good basket for holding my yarn, my projects. But a lot of them are quite dusty. So I was looking up how to clean them. And the best way I found is just with basic, like the Dr. Bronner's soap. And gently washing it with like a toothbrush, wiping it down. And it's actually good to occasionally get them wet because the water helps to strengthen and moisturize the basket like reeds. So this is one of my favorites. I got this one at the not Philly Eats Thrift, but Giovanni's room. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's their sister sold.
Right. And then this one's like an 18th or 19th century lacquered Chinese basket. It's like amazing. And somehow it became the cat toy box. So there's like
yeah. That's funny. I have a thrift. It's not a basket, but I have a thrifted bin in our living room that holds all the dog toys.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Do they help themselves to them?
Oh, all the time. Almost every morning I find this just like on its side in the living room. I feel like this is too nice for them. I mean, I love my cats, but I think I need to reclaim this for myself.
It's very nice, yes.
So, yeah, that's my sort of mini collection because I definitely will pick them up whenever I find them.
Awesome.
And that one I actually bought at a more of an antique store in Philly called, now I'm blanking on the name.
I might know it, but
Real Culture.
Okay.
Have you been there?
I have not been there, but I do know the name. So
very high end. That was pretty much the only thing I could afford, but they have the most amazing cafe and you can just sit in the middle of it and there's all of these antiques like everywhere and you can browse. And if anyone's ever in Philly and loves old things like we do, which you probably do because you're watching our show, that's a really fun place to go visit.
Very cool.
Okay. I think it's time to
we're going to talk about
our regular segment or our main segment for today. So we love shopping on shopgoodwill.com, which we talk about all the time. And it seemed like a good time to finally do a whole show about it. So shopgoodwill.com, if you're not familiar, is the auction website that's run by Goodwill. And it reminds me a lot of what eBay was back in the day before it became as big as it is now. And so for me, it's a little nostalgic, but it's also just so much fun because you can browse without really knowing what you're looking for. You can look through all of the ending soon items. You can look through all the newly listed items, and it's just like a hodgepodge of everything under the sun.
Yeah.
And each Goodwill region has their own seller account. So it's sort of like on eBay where we all have our own eBay accounts. So there are different sellers. You buy directly from the seller. When you buy an item, you pay that seller. So it's not just one like unified Goodwill. It sort of feels like there's a number of different accounts, just like on eBay.
And it's not, I just wanted to differentiate this too, because someone commented on my Instagram post that they were asking about the blue boxes. So goodwillbluebox.com is an entirely different thing run by Goodwill in the Florida, like the Miami area. And so that's a whole different website that does not have anything to do with shopgoodwill.com. So
right. So I think that same region also sells on Shop Goodwill, but it's separate. Yeah. And before we dive into everything, I wanted to say that one of the reasons I wanted to do this show was because I read a lot of people complaining about how Goodwill, now they know resellers are resellers and they're always looking at Goodwill to source items and they know what items are more valuable. And now it's impossible to get good deals.
Right.
That is definitely true. I think we've all seen that, like prices at Goodwill have gone up. But on the flip side, because now we have Shop Goodwill, we can access items that are all the way across the country that we would never have had any chance of finding if we had just gone to Goodwill. And instead of having to be at Goodwill at just that right moment when that item's available, now we can bid on it and have a shot at it, even if we don't have that great luck. So we might spend more money, but we have more access to items. So it's sort of a trade-off. Like, I don't think it's just a completely bad thing. I think there's a silver lining and we can take advantage of it and make it work for us.
And it's like being virtually, like, you don't, if you're in Goodwill, you've got to buy the item now, you've got to, you know, it's a whole, but when you're shopping, it's like shopping virtually different Goodwills around the country. So that's
exactly
right. That's pretty cool. So,
yeah. So I thought, we're going to go through our tips, and then I thought we could pull up an actual, you know, Shop Goodwill, the site, and do some searches and go through it and show you guys how we find things. And I don't know if you can hear my cat out in the hallway. So it's Mookie, I think.
Aw, my boy.
He'll probably come say hi.
The most precious cats.
I love my cats so much.
Okay, so our first tip is there's an advanced search feature on shopgoodwill.com, and you can search keywords within a certain price. You can help weed out items that maybe aren't worth flipping. You can search for 1 cent shipping. They have a 1 cent shipping section. They have and there's more. You can save. You can also, there's a personal shopper feature. And basically, it alerts you by email when items you're looking for are available. And you can choose the time on when you want the emails, if you want them every day, every 3 days, you know, so that you're not bombarded. There's a choice there. But it's, you know, the search features are great. And
I actually don't have any personal shopper searches, but this is really cool where you can.
Yeah, so you can search.
What's a good one that we could do? I was going to talk about Canon cameras.
Okay, yeah.
A great one is the Canon AE1. And usually we'll go on Shop Goodwill for not really more than you could probably flip them for on eBay, but it's one item that comes up a lot, and I thought it was a good example. So you could, if say you really wanted to start flipping Canon cameras, film cameras over and over again, you could set up this search, and then every time one comes up that has some room for flipping it, you can, you know, snipe it and bid it.
Yeah.
So it's very helpful.
Yeah. So like if you're looking for, even if you're looking for yourself, like I was looking for a pair of Nike mesh sneakers, and I haven't been able to find one that came up in my size, which is like a 9.5, 10 or 10. Yeah. So I was able to hone in on that, put it in my personal shopper. And then when one comes up, I can set my price range. It'll alert me. So
that reminds me, I wanted to set an alert for a specific microphone that I wanted to get for our show. So I just set that personal shopper.
Yes. So the other thing that you can do is search by region too. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, but
should I show? So advanced search. So these are some of the things that you can do. You can search by keyword. You can search by part number, which I think is interesting if you're looking for a specific replacement. Although I'm not sure, you know, might be more for like computer parts, which talk about in a minute too.
That's a pretty cool feature that,
yeah. I think this is the most helpful thing because you can actually search by big regions.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk, that's one of our other tips, but yeah, so you can search by whatever region you want to search to, and you can just have those auctions come up. You can have search by pickup only, search by buy it now only, you know, so there's different, they do have some buy it now options. With the buy it now, so I have to say they auction them, or you can just buy it straight out, but it's more worth it to wait for the auction to end because usually you're going to get it for less.
So pretty much like on eBay where an auction might have a buy it now option, but you probably will pay less if you just wait for the auction to end, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so on the topic of saved searches, just like when eBay's algorithm was not as smart as it is today. And now if you mistype a keyword in your listing, eBay catches a lot of those and will, you'll still come up in the listing with the right keyword. On here, it's if they are listing an item and misspell it slightly, then it's possible that other people are going to overlook it. So you can start to learn some of the misspellings that relate to the items you're looking for. So for example, I was talking about the Canon cameras. I can search for Canon with 2 N's. And so I'm probably going to find some different Canon related items. Like there are some, let's see, let me show you the screen. So here, Canon collectibles, but I do have a few camera related items. And in particular, I did find, so here's another digital camera. I did find one that is the AE1 camera that was misspelled, and it still has quite a while to go. So, other sellers or buyers may be smart enough to find this. But for now, usually, again, like these cameras easily go for about $125 on average. And this one still has 1 bid at the current price of $8.99.
Yeah, so you're looking for the items that have less traffic because they're
exactly. So this trick I think is no longer useful on eBay, but here it can still be quite helpful.
Yeah, because eBay will correct the spellings, but also if there's brands, you can search by different brands too, like maybe Anthropology. I didn't look this one up, but that's something. Anthropology has an IE at the end, and they might spell it with a Y, like the traditional way.
So if you're looking for a specific type of item, you can get creative, see how you might spell it wrong, type it really fast, see if it comes out wrong, if there's an autocorrect that makes sense. So, the Canon, CANNON, may have just been someone who doesn't know that's how you spell the brand name, or it could have been autocorrect correcting it. So, all of those things can actually end up working in our favor.
Right. So my next tip is to search locally. This is really, really cool because chances are there's a region near you. So if you use the advanced search and look for somewhere near you, in my case, there's one in New Jersey, near Philadelphia. New York City region is another one that I could get to. And so, so that one, Belmar is the location. So you can search for all of the items that are at that location. And what I usually do is I'll bid on, I'll go through and I'll wait till I have, a handful of items. Like right now I have like 4 of them and I have to go pick them up, but they'll hold them for you. And you pay online, and then you just go pick them up in the store. So the advantage to this is that you don't have to pay shipping. So it's a huge savings. They do still charge handling, but it's still a much better deal to avoid the shipping costs, because some of the shipping costs are expensive. They ship most items FedEx, and we all know that shipping is expensive. So
yeah, it adds up pretty fast.
Yeah. So also this region has really great jewelry, and we'll talk about that a little more too. But it's a really convenient thing though to be able to go to your region, pick up your items that you bought, and added plus is I get to go to the bins. So
I'm sorry, this is hilarious.
Oh my. The Black Diamond, yes. I
wonder who did, because for the most part, the stuff they list in this, like they know their stuff. The jewelry is always great jewelry.
Oh yeah, they test all of the jewelry. They know, if it's gold, if it's plated, if it's real diamonds or zirconia. They have every, they know their jewelry, which is really cool. So you can get some great jewelry items. I found like some earrings and stuff like that. But I do find stuff to flip too. And sometimes they will have, a slew of higher end items because probably someone has donated them, the same person maybe. And if you can snag them for a decent price and avoid the shipping costs, you have a great score to flip.
And at least for us, and I think this is true elsewhere though, the place where you go to pick up the items if you bought them and you're picking them up in person is the bins. So you can go and pick up your items and then go shopping at the bins.
That's what I'm saying. It's like an excuse to go there. And also you can search by pickup only too. That's another option. And the pickup only items have less competition because somebody, for example, in California isn't going to go pick up an item in New Jersey, you know, so the pickup only items and usually bigger items or more fragile items, that kind of thing. But sometimes you can do a search for just pickup only and get something for a good deal because there's less competition, less people bidding on it.
Right. And that may be something they end up selling like on Facebook Marketplace locally anyway, but I've seen a lot of really expensive items that are pickup only go for next to nothing. Like,
yeah, because people can't pick them up.
Yeah, I have been looking for a spinning wheel, which is obviously super big and bulky, and I swear all of them are like straight across the country. Like there's never one, even within like a 5-hour drive. Like I would drive pretty far to get a good deal on a spinning wheel.
Yeah, so. But if you have a region, region near you, and you should, because there's so many locations, so there should be something within reasonable driving distance.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for me, there isn't one. Like New York, I think might be the closest.
Yeah,
because there's a Bins in New Haven, but I don't think they have an account, but they don't list very much. So it's sort of like I've looked and there isn't much. There's a sort of Bins in Boston. They don't list anything. So nowhere in my state or in like north of me.
But here's an added tip. If you have a friend who
That's true.
lives in another region
in New Jersey,
something, you can ask your friend to pick it up for you. And then when they see you, they can give it to you, or you can keep it for less, So that is another option. So like for Lola, if she ever found something in the Belmar region, or she could tell me, hey, I got this, and I could go pick it up for her, hold it until I see her, and so
I've been tempted a few times, but so far I haven't seen anything. I was like, I must own this from the Belmar store recently.
I scored a pair of Moschino heels with ladybug design on them, and a pair of Manolo Ronics. And those Manolos are really they're awesome. And I scored both of them for $10 to $15 each. So yeah, with handling. So I have to go pick them up, but you can, and I'm definitely flipping both of them. So
yeah, that is hard to turn down.
Mm-hmm.
So on that note, which we've already sort of started touching base on this one, is to search by region and then get to know what each region has sort of as their specialty. So I've noticed this a lot in two different ways. One is that you will see local items that make sense for the different regions being listed by those regions. So for instance, a big one is like in the Pacific Northwest, out by Seattle, there's tons of computer and tech stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for computer parts, you could already hone in by just like looking, browsing through Seattle's listings. For some reason, they also have all the spinning wheels in Seattle. So if you want a spinning wheel and you live in the Pacific Northwest, you're in luck.
Yeah.
I'm not so much in luck.
Yeah, different regions will have, like Florida will have more, like Lily Pulitzer and, more summery items. Yep. Los Angeles tends to have, I got a beautiful Trina Turk coat from the LA area, and they tend to have some higher end brands there. So
New York too has
tons
of designer stuff. Right. So you can sort of start to get to know what the personality of each region is. But then there's also some regions that very obviously focus on listing one type of item. So we mentioned like our local region, they definitely do more jewelry than a lot of other places. I think it's San Francisco, they only list artwork, and they list it for like $400. So it's not cheap. And that's all they bother with. It's almost like for them, the time is only worth it if it's, super high dollar item. So it's helpful just to get to know those, because especially with being able to combine shipping, if you have, multiple items from one region, you can pay to ship them at once, which is the next tip. So we'll get too much into it. But you know, it's good to know that, oh, I know I want all these computer parts and I can just get them from one region.
Right.
And pay for them at once and have them shipped at once.
So. Yeah. So, and our next tip is you need to pay attention to shipping and handling. Speaking of shipping, yeah, so it can really add up fast and eat into your profits. So you want to definitely get a shipping quote before you commit to a bid, because once you commit to a bid, you are bound, and if you don't pay and you have 3 non-payments, you will get booted from the site. So you don't want that to happen. So you have to, do a search, get a shipping quote, and then look at the handling. They all charge handling. Some are only like $1. Some are, I think I've seen penny handling, where they just don't, but some are like $3, $4, some of the handling is more expensive. So that can really eat into your profit. So you have to think of not just the cost of the item, but you have to look at the shipping and handling costs too. And you can combine shipping on items, but make sure that they're able to be combined. Some regions they won't combine the shipping, so you have to make sure that they will. And so these items are marked can't be combined, even if they're small and lightweight. And some items will ship USPS. They use FedEx. I think all of the items I've gotten have been FedEx.
Yeah, so I ran into this once where I bought 2 items because I wanted to combine them from the same seller. One, for some reason, was shipping USPS and one was shipping FedEx, and so they would not combine them for me. It was ridiculous because they said it's different methods. For whatever, they were not flexible on it, even though there's nothing special about them that like, USPS or FedEx won't ship this item. It was just,
so you contacted the seller, correct?
Yeah.
And what happened?
And they messaged me back and they were like, sorry, can't do it. And I think part of it is that they just don't have the number of employees they really need to have that kind of customer service available. But I have also noticed that conveniently, like, I will ask for 2 items to be combined. Only once have I been successful where it was 2 items that were lightweight and they were both shipping FedEx. Like, there's no reason not to combine them. They did combine them for me once.
Okay.
Every other time they just drag their heels and don't respond, and you have a 7-day window to pay. So if it's day 7, you have to pay, or you get a strike on your account and you don't get the item, then you kind of are stuck, even though you've asked them a question. They just don't respond. And I think they just want to get extra shipping and handling. Really frustrating. So that's the only thing that I've found I do not like about the site.
So I ran into an issue. It's kind of on the same track, but I ran into an issue where I bought that Trina Turk coat that I bought from the the LA region, and I also won a Maeve Anthropology New Tags dress. So they did combine the shipping, got them both, but when I pulled it out of the envelope, the Maeve dress was not in there. It was a men's kind of Hawaiian-ish shirt, and it wasn't a good brand or anything, something that I would want to flip. So it was a totally different item. So I did contact them. It took them a while to respond. They sent me a return label. They did refund me once it came back, but they did not refund my original shipping because I had combined it with the other item. So I didn't, which was kind of fair, I guess. But, I did get my money back, but it was a little bit of a process to get the return. And then I wanted the dress, and I asked, I said, could you please send me the dress? And I never got a reply. So I guess they did not have the dress, but
yeah, I think the lesson I've learned is just always make sure that there's nothing on the items that won't let them automatically be combined through the systems. You don't have to contact anyone. You don't have to ask for any help.
Yeah, because it's a little clunky, their contact seller system. It's, yeah. And
so you ready for my next tip?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So a great thing about Shop Goodwill is that all of the designer items they sell will have been authenticated through a third party. So they'll use Authenticate First or one of those online services, which I think are generally pretty reputable. Definitely not 100% foolproof because they're not looking at it, in person, but it's something that I would use to authenticate an item before I listed it. So
here's the deal with that though. I won an auction of 2 Kate Spade bags. And they both came with certificates of authentication. I could tell that they were definitely authentic, but the certificates say goodwill.com. So you can't really, it's not something that I would want to enclose or advertise, because then they know where I got the item. So I would use it for like a backup. Like if the buyer had opened a case and said it wasn't authentic, then at that point I would show the certificate, so it's kind of like a backup security thing, but not something that you're going to want to advertise during, in the listing, because it does say shop Goodwill. And
right.
Although it actually says the Goodwill region that it's from. Yeah.
That's funny. I think, if you're looking to resell an item, you could buy it because it's been authenticated already, and then spend the $20 or whatever it is to authenticate it with your own name on it.
Yes.
So then you have that to use in your listing. So for a very high-end item, that actually might be worth it. And in my experience, the high-end items, they do go for a lot of money. Like I saw a designer, I think it was like a Chanel coat or something, and it went for like $1,500, $1,600. So it was, it was probably still a great deal for the person who bought that. It was not necessarily something that any of us would most likely be buying to flip, but you never know. Like you said, like that, the Kate Spade lot was a great lot, because each of those went for quite a bit more than you paid for it. But that's not something you pay to have authenticated. I think most people who buy Kate Spade are going to just look at the photos and
that's the kind. I think if I had something like a Vuitton or something, bag, then I would definitely get it authenticated on my own. But it's like an added security that that it was authenticated. So.
Right. And honestly, like there are so many people selling fakes on eBay and Poshmark for some of those bags. Even as a seller, I think I can do a pretty good job telling like which sellers are reputable, but I almost would just go, if I were going to buy a bag for myself, I would just go to Shop Goodwill and maybe buy one there, because it's been authenticated. It's coming through. It's, there's ideally multiple people who are looking at it. Of course, there are plenty of fakes that get sold at Goodwill as real all the time, but this is an added, step where they really are authenticating them before listing and very clear. And I think it's partially because they are doing it online. They are shipping it across state lines and stuff. So it's more, it could be more of an issue for them than if they're just selling it in a brick and mortar store. So
yeah, absolutely. So our next tip is to use your watch list. So they have, just like on eBay, you can watch items and you can keep an eye on these items and then bid at the last minute. If, because sometimes bidding up, it will raise the price, if you do it too early, unless you're set on a max price and you just put that in. But otherwise, you can bid at the last minute and win items that way. And, it's kind of like eBay, like back in the day with eBay where everything was auctioned and you jump on the auction at the last minute. It's kind of like that, but, you definitely don't want to drive up the price by bidding too early either. And, just use the same strategies that you used to use on old school eBay. So,
yeah, I do wonder if there's like a sniping platform that you can use on Shop Goodwill, like you could on. Do you remember? I mean, I think it still exists, but it used to be.
Yes, I know that eBay had one where you could.
Yeah, I definitely lost a lot of auctions to people who were using like sniper software back in the day. So this is my new strategy that I thought I would share as one of my tips, which is basically to research not just a single item, but sort of a category of items that are often available, and then know pretty much off the bat how much your max bid will be in order to be able to make a profit by reselling it. Because I haven't been able to source as much in, the regular brick and mortar Goodwills, and I've been looking for different ways to make sure I have constant inventory coming in.
Yeah, it's great for people that, have either have a busy schedule and can't thrift, or you have a disability or something like that, that you can't get out to an actual store. It's a great way to source.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can use Shop Goodwill for that. So you could either look for lots, which do exist. They're sometimes, a lot of times they're a mix of like good items, decent items, and like kind of crap items. Like they know how to lot things together to get stuff moving. One thing that I'm interested in that, someone, could be a free idea for someone else too, is to learn how to repair certain things. So like there's a ton of KitchenAid mixers, and if they're not working, they're super cheap, but they really hold their value. And you go on YouTube, you learn how to fix it, you learn what the parts are, you learn what parts are missing, and you can, put them back together with the right pieces and make them in good working order again. And not only are you going to make some money from that, but you're helping the environment, keeping things out of landfills, and it just is like a win-win situation. You can keep a, saved listing or personal shopper on an item like that, and just know, every time they come in, just start getting them on a regular basis, and then you have this, easy stream of inventory.
Yeah.
So I will keep everyone updated as I put that strategy into action. So you can.
So you can also do like, I think that would be, if you find some Goodwills will put up a bunch of items that are similar or the same. And you can bid on them and do a multi-variation listing on eBay that way too.
Yes, that's another, or if you get a lot of similar items, that they could also be multi-variation, totally.
Yeah. So so my next one is to think before you bid. So if you're buying something to flip, so make sure that there's room for profit, like we said. Calculate the shipping, find out what the handling is, do your research before you just hit the bid button, because it's really easy to push that button. It's a little addictive and you can get in trouble, so don't, so think about it and take the time to look at the photos carefully and research the item, like the exact model number, whatever style, make sure that the prices are comparable so you have enough room to flip the item. And also, sometimes sometimes items, you have to look at the photos carefully, because sometimes items are not in the condition that you would want them to be. So look carefully. I received a pair of boots. I think I showed them on one of our shows. They're Michael Kors boots. I'm going to keep them. They're size 10. They're really cozy. They're like the Sherpa lined winter boots. And I got them really cheap. I got them for like $10, but I had to pay shipping and handling. I was going to originally flip them, but the backs of them have, quite a bit of damage on them. So that would really take away a lot of my profit. So, I am going to keep them, but if I had looked at the photos again, and I could see it in the photos. It wasn't like really prominent, but I could see it. So look at the photos really carefully before you bid too. And so resist the temptation to just bid on an impulse, because if you bid it and win it, you're stuck with it, even if it turns out to be something that isn't really profitable to flip. And when you're doing lots, take the time to do the math on the comps for each item in the lot, because sometimes they're smart, and one decently valuable item will be amongst the junk items. So definitely look in the lots too. They have lots of purses, jewelry, and they'll show the photos and some of the things in there. Like there'll be, if it's a lot of handbags, maybe there'll be like one or two handbags that are gems, and the other ones are kind of so you bid on the lot for the gems, and
Right. So it may or may not be worth it to you. Yeah. And then there's also the time involved, where like if you do get a bunch of items that are worth significantly less than the gems that are in that lot, is it worth your time to list them for relatively small amount of money? Like, do you want to deal with it, basically?
Yeah. So Heather says, hi, Heather. Thanks for tuning in. She just heard about fixing KitchenAid items, because people sell them.
Yeah, so that's the flip side of what you could do, is buy broken items, learn how to part them out, and then make money that way, for sure. I actually, I've definitely heard of other people doing it. I am intimidated by learning like the specific name for everything, but maybe once I start doing it, like, it won't be that hard. It might just be part of the learning.
Yeah. And YouTube is your friend. You can find a how-to for anything on YouTube.
I know there are definitely people who buy non-working older game consoles and fix them, because those are something that collectors buy. And there's this awesome place near me that I think is sort of popping up around the country where they have like all the old different game consoles available to play. So you pay like $30 to enter, and you have a certain amount of hours where you can play the N64 and the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis or whatever, like all the nostalgia. And so places like that are always going to be looking for those, out of date games that come up all the time in Shop Goodwill, and probably.
Yeah, my son went to a birthday party where they had a game truck, and they had like all different platforms, old school, new, and the boys went in there and they had like a couple hours to just play the games. And so so people like that are looking for the game consoles. Now I remember, I don't know if it's still something popular, I'd have to research, but the Keurig machines, like and also like the espresso machines, like the Cuisinart and whatnot. I know that they've been popular to part out too, because somebody will break like their water dispenser, it'll crack or something, and they'll just want that part, for example. Sometimes it's cheaper than buying a new one.
Old technology too, so like darkroom materials, I've definitely seen those coming up on Shop Goodwill, and it does have an entire category that's just camera equipment. So dark rooms are getting scarcer. If something breaks, you have to fix it or find a new one. That's, you have to get creative about where you're finding that replacement. So things like that can be anything that's old technology can definitely have a market.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So actually that's a really great segue into my last tip, which is also my favorite tip, which is use Shop Goodwill as a free education. So one of my favorite things to do, and this is something I do like when I'm not feeling great and I'm laying in bed, which unfortunately is a lot right now, or I'm, kind of watching TV and half watching Netflix and half like on my phone, is it just like browse through Shop Goodwill, go through all the ending soon, the recently listed, or I'll look through a specific region's listings and just look through everything they've got, and tons of it's cheap clothing. Every now and then it's something that is completely off the wall, I didn't even know existed, or it'll be something with 20 bids and it's something I never thought anyone would be interested in. So, it catches my eye, and those are the opportunities for you to look at items you would never maybe think to look at in a thrift store. And then research them and realize, oh, there is a market for this. And then next time you're out thrifting and you do see it in person, that's a bolo that you may, so you can just learn all of these things on the go, or not really on the go, from the comfort of your living room, rather than when you're out the thrift store and you're overwhelmed by how many items there are and you just don't have the time to look at every common.
So on your watch list too, you can, when you do your watches, you can search, you can keep the ended auctions too. So you can, if there's something that you're looking at and you want to see how high it bids, you're not going to necessarily bid on it, for education purposes to see, you can not, choose not to delete the ended auctions, and you can see what everything went for. So if you watch something that you're not bidding on, that you're just curious about, you can see how what it ended.
Totally. Yeah. And if there's an item that you're particularly interested in, you can also do that with several auctions and kind of track them over time and see if one was a fluke, or maybe there's a difference, maybe it was unique, maybe it was in better conditions. That can also teach you a lot about what collectors are looking for or enthusiasts are looking for. So it's just endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, and you can search by brand and price too to see, what brands are kind of trending on, and what went for higher prices. So it's definitely an education opportunity too.
Yeah. And there's just so many things I wouldn't expect that I notice as trends. Like, for some reason, almost every item of Free People clothing will have 3 or 4 bids. And there's, multiple people bidding them up to $30, $40, which
isn't worth it.
I'm surprised by it, because I know that I probably would expect less than that if I were selling it on Poshmark. So that might be an instance of maybe I do need to go back and look at Free People again and think that's more of a bolo brand after I kind of decided to start passing on it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Do you have anything else you can think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's a great opportunity to get, you can definitely, and like I said, what I do is for my local region. I mean, I do have some things shipped from other regions, but I will search by my local and get a bunch of items at once so that I can make one trip, because it is like an hour drive for me. So I can make one trip and get all of my items, that I bid on and won. So right now I have some jewelry. I have, what else do I have? I have the Moschino shoes and the Manolos, and I'm trying to think. Oh, I have a cute cat sweater that I won too. It's just like, it's like Chico's or Coldwater or something. I think it's Coldwater. It's not like a good brand, but it is so adorable. It's got cats all over it. And I know cats sell, so I got that for like $7.99. I don't have to pay shipping. So I have some things waiting for me, and I'll let you know in the future shows how they do for me.
Oh, Heather asks, do we just Google Shop Goodwill? You can. It's also shopgoodwill.com.
Mm-hmm. So, and you have to sign up. You have to make an account, which is really easy and nothing.
Hard.
Yeah.
You can pay for your PayPal, which is nice because I have PayPal funds from something I sold on eBay.
Yeah. Some I did run into a couple that don't accept PayPal.
Yeah.
A couple regions where I went to pay for my PayPal and they don't. So they have something called Stripe, I think it is.
Yeah, just the online credit card.
Yeah, it's basically just a credit card. So then you have to put in. Now I have a PayPal card too, so I can still pay for my PayPal card with my PayPal debit card. So, so that if I run into that, that's that's an easy. But yeah, but it's really convenient. So you just have to put in your payment information, set up your account with your address and whatnot, and then you can start bidding. But like I said, you will get banned if you don't pay for your items. If you bid on something, if you have 3 items or more, well, at 3 items, 3 strikes and you're out. If you don't pay, then you will get banned. So,
which obviously is incredibly lenient.
Oh, it is definitely, and I can understand why they don't want people just deadbeats just bidding on things, and so yeah. And
you have 7 days to pay, which is like also
and then I know that after the 7 days, if you don't pay, they'll give you they will actually give you an extension, which is really convenient. I mean, that's really lenient of them. They'll give you like a 2-day extension and give you a set time that you have to pay by. So even if you don't pay, which you should pay by the date, because that's the right thing to do. But if you don't or you can't, they will give you a little extension. So
I did run into as I was bad mouthing their customer service, but one time I did end up with a problem where I miscalculated the time. So like I missed the 7-day window waiting for another item to end so I could buy them and ship them together. And they were super understanding. They were just like, oh yeah. No problem.
Yeah, they'll extend your time. Just message them and let them know if you have a problem with payment. So. Okay. So we have an awesome news story. We have kind of an interesting one that just came out. So our thrifting breaking thrifting news is we need some music. I can feel like some like da da da, something like that.
We need some good sound effects here. Okay, so you want to talk about this
So Nordstrom has. So we were talking about how Macy's and JCPenney had teamed up with ThredUp, and they're having pre-owned items in their store, and so Nordstrom has jumped on that bandwagon too. But they're doing their own thing. I think it's called See You Tomorrow. And they have, it's their own thing, and they are, See You Tomorrow is what it's called. And so what they're doing is they're offering secondhand items in the store, and I think it's going to probably be like nicer, higher end brands, but they are going to take not donations, but they'll take items from customers, and it says gift card, and they'll give gift cards in exchange for customers use clothing, handbags, shoes, jewelry, and watches, which will be cleaned and repaired as needed before being resold. So, and it also said Nordstrom said it will be accepting merchandise by mail also. So you get, if you have items that that haven't sold, or you have too much inventory or whatever, this is a great way to get some. You'll get the gift card, and then you could buy things, something else to flip. So
yeah, I'm super curious. I think you should go on an expedition for us and try selling some of the items in Manhattan and see what happens.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I think this happening. It's just at the Manhattan store right now.
Yeah, but you're so close. You could go.
Oh yeah, I could. So they might be, maybe that's a test, a market test. So they'll be expanding to other areas. But yeah, I could definitely stop into the Nordstrom in Manhattan and check it out. And, like I said, you can mail in items too. And I wonder if they'll give you a gift card in the mail, and then you could.
I bet they would just do it by email. So
so then you could. So even if you're not near the Manhattan store, you could, you could donate that way, and, and then shop online. So
I wonder what kind of volume they can accept, because it sounds like so far it's only, they're rolling it out slowly.
Yeah.
If they're accepting items by mail, I could see where, resellers like us would start sending them stuff instead of sending it to the Real
or ThredUp.
What kind of payout you get. Because if they're doing gift cards, it could be better. And then it's Nordstrom. You can get like
some nice high-end items there.
Yeah, you can get really nice stuff that's
they sell like St. John and that, so
yeah. So I don't know. It's an interesting potential strategy. So we should see how it goes.
Yeah, so it's interesting. And it's so interesting that now what we do is becoming so mainstream. It was kind of almost like frowned upon, before. Like I remember years ago when I would thrift, and, I was proud of my thrifted items, but other people would be like, oh, I wouldn't go into a thrift store and buy something used, but it's become so mainstream, and, it's totally amazing that it's now at Nordstrom. You would never expect that. Years ago, that would not have been a thing.
Well, and I think it's still a little weird to be like, oh, what do you do for a living? I sell used clothes on eBay and Poshmark. Like, that's still a little less socially acceptable, but I think that's going to be soon, because there's such a demand for it now. Of course, there's going to be more people selling full time.
Yeah, so my local post office, I have become friends with one of the clerks there. Her name is Surinder, and she's really sweet. And she is so curious about what I do, because I come in every day, and she's like, so where do you get the items? What do you do? And it's been like kind of like tricky explaining it to her. She's like, and clothing actually sells, So I've gotten her so curious that now she wants to start selling on Poshmark too. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
hire her part-time as like a helper for a while, and then help me like list and photograph or whatever and ship, and then she can learn the ropes that way, and then like
she was saying, I had a Coach bag the other day, and when I walked into the post office, and she was looking at my Coach bag. She's like, that's a really nice Coach bag. Where did you get that? How, she's like, I look at Macy's and I'm like, no, I thrifted it for like $10. And she was really impressed. And then she was like, oh, you know what? I have a lot of Coach bags and things that I could, so if you talk about it, you can get other people to jump on the wagon too. But anyway, off topic a little bit, but.
Well, speaking of that, though, our market report for the week.
Yes.
So, where is your photo? Huh.
Well.
That's weird.
Okay. So.
You know what?
The photo?
Oh my gosh, that's so weird. I think I moved them to the trash or something, and that shouldn't do anything. It's on the cloud. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, here's your first one.
Okay, you got it. Okay. All right. So this is and I was actually hoping to, I was hoping to get a little more for this. So they paid, actually, that's with shipping. It sold for $34.90 with shipping. So that wasn't so bad. That was a decent profit, but it did sit for a while. So that's why I took the offer, and I paid $4.99 for it. It was an awesome sweater or ski. It was Nordic. It was made in Norway, and it was just like the perfect 80s vintage ski sweater. So
very cool.
Yeah, so that wasn't a bad profit. And this one I paid $8.99 for this. It was a Plenty by Tracy Reese dress, and I did pay $8.99 at Goodwill, and I took an offer for $30 on Poshmark. It had been sitting for a while, so
That's the brand I haven't had great luck with lately.
I know it's such a nice brand too. Tracy Reese has some beautiful clothing. I love like this dress was awesome. The pattern on it and all, but it does tend to sit for me a little bit. So I don't think in the future I would pay $8.99 for a dress. But if I had it, if I had a half off sale or something like that, I would pick it up still. But so $30, that was a decent offer. So I took it and
yeah. So similarly, another dress. I definitely, at least I didn't pay up for it because I'm pretty sure I got this at Circle Thrift before they raised their prices. So now I think they're $7. They used to be $5 for dresses. I got this for myself because it was so cute and it has that perfect like 90s vibe to it. It was Vintage Express, and Vintage Express pieces for me have also not been doing as well as I'd hoped because they're like perfectly on trend, but they just don't really hold their value. So it didn't fit and I listed it and I finally sold it for $15, which was less than I was hoping, but it was more because it didn't fit me. So I got my money back.
And so you got your money back. I think you made a little profit there. So not bad.
Oh yeah. And then this one, I actually took an offer, but I took an offer for like $15, which I realized was more than the price I had it up for on Poshmark at that point because I had dropped it down a few times. It was cross-listed. I think on Poshmark it was already down to like $10. And I really had it. I got it so that I'd have a good item to bundle on Poshmark. Like I was hoping someone would listen with another.
Oh, dude, I love the print on it.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I bought it. And then of course it ends up selling on eBay, but it sold for $15 plus shipping and I paid like $3 for it. So
you still made something.
Really not bad with,
I think some of those Forever 21 items are great to sprinkle into your closet. As like you said, bundle items. People will buy something else that's a little more cozy and they'll look at, oh, this top is cute. So, and if you find something that's cute and trendy, it's not going to go for a lot, but it is a great kind of bread and butter brand to sprinkle in.
Exactly. Yeah. But that said, even though that was my strategy, it did sell on eBay. So it was good that I cross-listed it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another great tip. But you went right to Poshmark and deleted it, correct?
I did, of course. Yeah. Actually, as soon as I got the offer, I went and put it as not for sale on Poshmark and then accepted it. So that's my way to like doubly make sure. And then if it doesn't, the nice thing about putting it not for sale is if anything falls through, you just go back to Poshmark.
That's a good tip. I've done that too, where I put, because somebody on eBay, they bought it, they might return it or something. So put not for sale, then you can make it available again if something happens, if something goes south with the sale.
Exactly. So super easy. And wow, we made it like exactly at an hour today.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us.
That's funny. Yeah. So we have a question for you.
So there's a little bit of story that inspired this question. Yeah. So as I mentioned, do you want to tell the story? Should I tell the story?
Yeah, go ahead, tell the story.
So as I mentioned, I love looking through the ending soon items on Shop Goodwill, and I always look out for the ones that have, super high prices and tons of bids. And I found an item like that one day, and I immediately sent it to Nadine because it was a human skull.
Yes, an
actual. It was all above board. It was like an anatomical specimen, and it was registered. It had some sort of like ID number on it. It went for the end. The watching it bid up was fascinating. It went from like $450 to what was it, like $560 or something?
I think for more than that, actually. It was
in like the last like 5 minutes because I saw
it went for the high hundreds, I think, and it was really crazy that they could that was a legal thing that they could put on. But I guess for medical purposes, probably somebody that was like in med school or something like that, purchased it.
I could see someone buying or bidding on it for a graduation gift for a med student or something like that. Like, I mean, if I were a doctor, I'd probably be okay with a human skull in my office. Like, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, so
I don't think the average person would, but yeah, if you're in the medical field, it's good for educational purposes. So our question along those lines is, what is the weirdest item you found on shopgoodwill.com?
So what did it go for?
Yeah, so let us know in the comments. or, you know, tag us on Instagram with a picture.
Oh yeah, screenshot it, post it to Instagram, and tag us. That'd be
yeah. So we'd love to see what you found. So there are some odd items there for sure.
Yeah.
So
as usual, you can find us all over the internet. We'd love to connect with you on Instagram. You can look at our closets on Poshmark and what we are selling on eBay and Depop. And if, you know, say you're from our YouTube channel and you're a fan and we'd love to, you know, make a deal with you. And send us an email if you have any ideas or feedback, a show you'd like to see, like a topic for us to do in the future. And
I will have to add my Mercari to that because I'm also at Thrifting on Mercari. And Lila is going to be adding her eBay.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. I did rename it. So my
so we'll have to add that to the artwork then, yeah.
Yeah, my ID now is Lo-Fi, which I might change my other stores to as well.
Awesome name, yeah. And I'm pretty much Thrifting across the board except for eBay because I had created my ID way back in the day, and so I am still Colbury Asterisk Dazzle or Colbury Dazzling Finds on eBay.
So see you guys next week. And again, like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and
yeah. So we'll announce our topic this week for next week. For next Friday, we'll be at our usual time, which is 12 p.m. Eastern. And I also have an idea for a video that like a pop-up video that I might do. So, you know, so we might do some little videos in between too. So we'll let you know.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. And thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.